Hello TI friends, finally got all of the pieces done for the big box set for my TI4 game and just want to kind of share with you some of the details and how it all works. So this is the overall set, and the main purpose of it was to try to reduce the amount of table space that the game ultimately took. And so the main component for that is your player tray here. And so in just the space of a faction sheet, you have all of your units, some colored dice for that particular player. You've got some magnetic player markers that I'll show you how those work in a second. You've got your own dedicated token stash here, so you don't need a special tray for the fighters, infantry, and trade good tokens. Those are all right there at your grasp. It'll also save you time because you can, during a build, you can already grab the cardboard that you need for that. You don't need to wait for it. And then you've got a little tray area for all of your faction-specific components. You got your tech for the color. And so you've got 3 whole trays here that hold all of the faction boxes. And then you can see all 8 different colors for each faction that you have, or sorry, for each player color. And so with these trays, there's also, I'll show you whenever I print one. This is an empty one that I haven't filled yet. But you can see each tray kind of has a little icon of what goes in that tray. So that way, the trays are a little bit specific towards what they can fit. And so this way you know what goes into what. So then the other thing that makes this take up a lot less space is the fact that you don't need the 2 wings, the leader suite wing and the command counter wing. All of that is incorporated onto the top of the faction sheet. So you have your command tokens, and so you see here this got hexes, like the hexes that you activate to make moves, so that's your tactical area. Then here you've got little shapes of strategy cards, so that's your strategy token area. And then you've got trade goods up here. So that's where you can keep your trade goods. Your commodities still go in the same space as the commodity tracker. And then the one that is a little bit interesting, and I can't wait to get player feedback here at the tournament, is the way I've done Fleet Pool is just by, in these slots, you can stack command tokens based on your Fleet Pool capacity. So this area here wasn't necessarily big enough to make a whole tray, so I just made these little slots. We'll see how that works out in gameplay. And then for your other faction components, you've got your agent, so that just slots in right here. Then your commander, then your hero, and then your mech. So those just slot in right at the front of your little player tray. And then you can put planets on this side, over here, and you can put your technology over in these slots on this side. And then I've also got a set of slots at the front there. And what my thought for those is to use that for your secret objectives. So whenever you accomplish your secret objective, you can just set it at the front here to show you've accomplished that one. So it's easy to see how many secrets each player has accomplished. You can also put a support for the throne up on this front row so you can see who's supporting who. And then finally, with the strategy cards, right up here in the front, there's enough space to be able to put your strategy card. So my preference would be with it facing out with the text to the rest of the players if it's still unused and potentially available. And then once you use it, you can turn it around so that way the other players are just seeing the back of the strategy card so they know it's not available. And then you can just turn it on its side once you've passed. And that's how you can indicate those 3 different situations. And then as far as speaker token, because I'm also a Dune fan, so I made these little speaker tokens that are the Emperor symbol. from Dune, and you just put that on top of your strategy card, and that can indicate who is currently speaker. And so that is the main component of what I call my big box set. So that makes it where basically only your faction sheet, roughly the size of the faction sheet, is pretty much all the space that you need as a particular player. And then so the other little pieces that I made, obviously made these 5 card holders. For the blue one is Agenda, Secrets, and Relics. I'll skip red for now. Purple is your planets, stage 1 and stage 2 objectives. Orange is action, and then green is your exploration deck, with red actually being your discard. So this larger area here is for discarded action cards, then discarded exploration, then discarded agendas. And you may be asking why there's so much extra space in these card holders, and the reason for that is I tried to design everything to be sized so that way it can also handle sleeved cards. So a set of sleeved action cards is quite a bit bigger than an unsleeved set, and so you need extra space in all of those areas for sleeved cards. Then I've got a little strategy card holder that'll hold all your strategy cards with little areas for trade goods for the ones that aren't selected. So that's just a little thing to keep everything set up. You've got some trays for all of your random tokens and your frontier tokens. You've got a hex tray holder. And then these back here are where the magnets come in. So you've got an objective display with 2 extra spaces for objectives that might come out due to an agenda. And just as you score an objective, you know, if the yellow player scores this objective, they just put their player marker on there showing, hey, I scored that one. And then same for the score tracker, and please don't mind the overrun on the resin. This is my first time to try to use resin, and I learned a lot from it. But same thing here, you just put your player marker on there to show where your points are currently at. And then on the back of those, these are actually also magnetic, and there's magnets on the bottom of the card holders. So you can put the card holders here on the back of here, again, to save space on the table, and they will stay put, and you don't have to worry about necessarily knocking them over. So those are both on there. And then, so you may ask yourself, that's a lot of stuff. I don't think that's gonna fit in the 2 standard boxes, and you are correct, especially due to the size of these trays and the height of them. You're not gonna be able to get that in a regular box. So I had to procure a new box. I'm kind of going with the Federation of Soul military theme. And you've got, this goes to the Propulsion Blue Labs, a shout out to the SCPT Blue Tech, and even gave the ship a name, the FSS, Federation of Soul Ship, St. Joseph. Just a throwback to my Catholic faith. Tried to add in a few little things to capture that throughout the build. And then to top it all off, then you've got your tray inserts to hold all the extra little goodies, including my favorite drink coasters that I can also keep in the box. And then I printed a 8x size infantryman with the Texas flag on it to commemorate going to the Dallas Intergalactical by SCPT. So I can't wait for you guys to see it, and for at least 2 games, maybe even 3 games, to get to potentially use it and get some good feedback from the community and see what we can do to make this better, to make it easier to use, and to make it funner. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you in Dallas in a couple days.